After I helped them pay off their old debts, I accidentally heard, "We should pretend to be grateful a bit longer." I nodded to myself and said, "Let's see how long you can pretend." That weekend, I moved out. Their response, "I never thought I'd be the guy who walked away from his own family." For the longest time, I believed in that whole family is everything idea. You know, the one where you sacrifice, you give, you put them first no matter what. Because at the end of the day, they're supposed to be the people who love you unconditionally. I was wrong. I learned that lesson the hard way, standing in my mother's kitchen on an unremarkable Friday night, takeout bags in my hands, overhearing a conversation that shattered everything I thought I knew. But let me back up a bit. I grew up in Buffalo, New York. Nothing fancy, just an old, worn-out neighborhood where people struggled but kept pushing forward. My dad, he walked out when I was 12. One day he was there, the next he wasn't. Mom, Diane, didn't talk about him much after that. She just worked hard. 2 jobs, sometimes 3, anything to keep the lights on and food on the table for me and my little sister, Rachel. We weren't poor, but we were never comfortable either. I remember nights when the power got shut off, or when we had to eat ramen for a week straight. I remember Mom crying over bills, thinking we were asleep. So, I made a promise to myself. I was going to get out of that life. And when I did, I'd make sure my family never had to struggle again. Fast forward 20-something years, and I actually did it. I worked my ass off, went to school on scholarships and part-time jobs, got a degree in accounting, and landed a decent job. Then I got smart with investments. A mix of stocks, real estate, and some lucky timing with crypto put me in a position where, by my mid-30s, I wasn't just financially stable, I was thriving. And like I swore, I took care of my family. Rachel had a mountain of student debt. I paid it off. Mom had medical bills stacking up. Gone. The house still had a mortgage hanging over it. Cleared. Rachel's car? Paid for. Monthly allowances so they didn't have to stress? Handled. I never once asked for anything in return. No repayment, no favors, nothing. I figured that's what family does. When one of us makes it, we all make it. But I was the only one who actually believed that. It happened on a Friday night. I had picked up dinner for everyone. Chinese takeout, same as always. I parked outside Mom's house, juggling bags of food, and let myself in like I always did. The house still smelled like the cinnamon candles she always burned. I was about to call out when I heard voices coming from the kitchen. "Rachel, Mom." I stopped just outside the doorway when I heard my name. Rachel was laughing. "I mean, yeah, obviously we should pretend to be grateful a bit longer. What else are we gonna do? He still pays for everything." I froze. Mom sighed. I know. I just don't want him to start asking for anything. As long as he thinks we love him, he'll keep helping." Rachel snorted. "He's so damn easy to manipulate. A couple of thank yous and he thinks he's a hero." Mom chuckled. "Well, let's just keep it going a little longer. No need to rock the boat." The bags of food in my hands suddenly felt heavy. My chest tightened. I wanted to believe I misheard. That they meant something else. That maybe, there was some innocent explanation. But deep down, I knew better. I took a step back, walked out the front door, and sat in my car for a long time. That was the moment I knew. I'd been nothing but a paycheck to them. Everything I did, every sacrifice, every dollar, I wasn't doing it for family. I was doing it for users. People who saw me as nothing more than a walking ATM with emotions they could manipulate. And they had the audacity to laugh about it. I nodded to myself and whispered, "Let's see how long you can pretend." That weekend, I moved out. I didn't say a word to them. No dramatic confrontation. No accusations. I just packed my stuff, left my keys on the kitchen counter, and walked away. I had an apartment I barely stayed in because I was always at Mom's or helping Rachel. Now, it became my home. I also made some financial adjustments. I transferred the house deed to Mom's name. It was paid off. She could have it. Canceled the automatic payments for Rachel's utilities and credit cards. Stopped the monthly allowances. I wasn't going to destroy them. I wasn't going to demand back what I gave. But I sure as HLL wasn't going to let them keep using me. It took 3 days before they noticed I was gone. Then the call started. First Mom. "Leon, honey, where are you? We haven't seen you all weekend." Then Rachel. "Hey, why isn't the mortgage payment going through? The bank's saying there's an issue." I ignored them. The texts started piling up. "Mom, I'm getting worried. Please call me." Rachel. "WTF, are you seriously doing this?" "Mom, did something happen? I don't understand." Rachel. "Oh my God, grow up. You're really pouting because of something stupid?" A week passed. Then, finally, I picked up when Mom called again. Her voice was soft, careful. "Leon, what's going on?" I exhaled slowly. "I heard you, Mom. That night. In the kitchen." Silence. Then, "Honey, what are you talking about?" I let out a cold laugh. "Don't play dumb. You know exactly what I'm talking about." Rachel's voice cut in. "Oh, come on. Are you really mad over that? We were just venting. You're blowing this way out of proportion." "Venting?" I repeated. "You called me easy to manipulate." Rachel groaned. "God, you're so dramatic." You're really gonna let one little conversation ruin everything. No, Rachel, I said. You did that. And I hung up. I haven't answered their calls since. At first, they thought I was bluffing. Then the bills started piling up. The house didn't magically pay for itself. Rachel's credit cards didn't clear automatically. The comfortable life I had provided them, it started unraveling. Mom called crying. Rachel ranted. But I stayed firm. I wasn't cruel. I made sure my nephew, Owen, had what he needed. But as for them, they were adults. They could figure it out. Rachel had to move in with a guy she barely knew. Mom picked up a part-time job at a bookstore. They managed. And me? I learned something valuable. Blood doesn't mean loyalty. Some people will take and take until you have nothing left. And when you finally cut them off, they'll call you the villain. But I'd rather be the villain than a fool. And this fool? He's never coming back. It's been almost a month now. At first, the silence was weird. After years of being the one they turned to for every little thing, the sudden lack of texts, calls, and demands should have been a relief. But if I'm being honest, it messed with my head a little. I'd wake up expecting a notification, a guilt-tripping message, maybe some new manipulative strategy to pull me back in. But nothing came. It wasn't that they'd given up. No, I knew them better than that. They were regrouping, figuring out how to play this. I wasn't dumb. I knew there would be a second act. And I didn't have to wait long. It was a Thursday evening when the knock came at my door. I knew who it was before I even looked through the peephole. Rachel. I opened the door, but didn't step aside to let her in. She looked different, more tired, her usually well-done hair in a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes. She was wearing a coat I didn't recognize, which probably meant she'd sold the designer one I had bought her last Christmas. She gave me a tight-lipped smile. Hey. I leaned against the doorframe. What do you want, Rachel? She let out a dramatic sigh, crossing her arms. Can I come in? No. Her jaw tensed, but she forced another smile. Fine. Whatever. I wanted to talk. I waited. She shifted on her feet. Look, I get it. You're pissed. You think we don't appreciate you, or whatever. And maybe, yeah, we took things for granted. But come on, Leon. This is family. I didn't say anything. Just watched her. She let out a frustrated breath. Jesus, do you have to be so difficult? I'm standing here, swallowing my pride, trying to fix things, and you're just, fix things? I cut in. She blinked. Yeah. Rachel, what exactly are you trying to fix? She frowned, confused. Us? This situation? I tilted my head. You mean your situation? Her lips parted like she was going to protest, but she stopped. I nodded. Yeah, that's what I thought. She sighed, rubbing her temples. Leon, please. Mom's not doing well. She's been so stressed since you left. She's barely sleeping. She's lost weight. She's working a part-time job and doesn't have my money to fall back on, I said bluntly. That's not stress, Rachel. That's life. Rachel's eyes flashed with anger. Why are you being like this? You're acting like we're some kind of criminals. Like we used you. I gave her a look. She groaned. Okay, fine. Maybe we said some SHTTY things. But you know we love you. You know we didn't mean it like that. I stared at her for a long moment before I finally spoke. You know what's funny, Rachel? I said, my voice calm. If you had come here and said, Leon, I'm sorry. I messed up. I was selfish and ungrateful, and I took you for granted. Maybe we'd be having a different conversation right now. She swallowed. But instead, you're here justifying it. I continued, trying to twist it around like I'm the one being unreasonable. You still don't get it, do you? Rachel shook her head, her hands balling into fists. Leon, please. Can't you just let this go? We're family. I laughed under my breath. Yeah, we are. And yet, I've heard you talk about complete strangers with more kindness than you ever gave me. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I nodded, stepping back. Goodbye, Rachel. And I closed the door. The text started again that night. Rachel, you're being cruel. Mom, Leon, please call me. I don't understand why you're acting like this. Rachel, do you even care about Mom? Do you even love us? Mom, I don't know what we did to make you so angry, but please, just talk to me. Rachel, if Dad were still here, he'd be ashamed of you. That last one made me pause. Rachel had never mentioned Dad. None of us really did. He was a ghost in our family history, a missing piece we had all silently agreed to ignore. I clenched my jaw, staring at the screen. Then I blocked her number. A week passed. No more texts. No more calls. Then, one evening, as I was getting home from work, I saw a familiar car parked outside my building. Mom's. She was sitting in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel like she was gathering courage. I sighed. This was going to be harder than Rachel's visit. I walked over and knocked on the window. She startled, then quickly rolled it down. Leon. I nodded. Mom. Her eyes were glassy, red-rimmed. She had lost weight. And I felt something in my chest tighten, because despite everything, this was still my mother. She exhaled shakily. Can we talk? Please. I hesitated. Then, finally, I opened the passenger door and got in. She let out a small breath, like she had been holding it. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she spoke, her voice quiet. I miss you. I stared at my hands. What do you want, Mom? She reached over, trying to take my hand, but I pulled away. Her face crumpled. Leon, I don't know how this got so bad, she whispered. I let out a humorless laugh. You don't. She swallowed. I was selfish. I got comfortable. I let Rachel. She stopped herself, shaking her head. No, that's not fair. I'm just as guilty. I let myself rely on you too much. I forgot that you weren't just a provider. You're my son. I turned to look at her, searching for any sign of insincerity. For the first time, I saw something real in her eyes. Regret. Not just over the money. Not just over her struggles. But over me. She sighed. I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. And I know I don't deserve anything from you. But, Leon, I just want my son back. I felt something in my throat tighten. For the first time since that night, I wasn't angry. I was just tired. I leaned back in the seat, exhaling slowly. This was the moment. The moment I had to decide. Do I let her in? Do I try again? Or do I walk away for good? And for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure. I sat there in the car, staring at the dashboard, my mind running in circles. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that this was real, that she saw me as more than a paycheck now. But the truth was, trust wasn't something you could just rebuild overnight. It wasn't something you could glue back together with a few sad words and glassy eyes. And she knew that. I could feel her watching me, waiting, hoping I'd cave the way I always had. But this time was different. I turned to her, my voice calm. You say you want your son back. Her eyes filled with hope. I do. I nodded slowly. Okay, then let's make a deal. She straightened, listening. I'll consider coming back into your life, but not as your provider. Not as your fixer. Just as your son. Her lips pressed together, hesitant. Of course, Leon. I don't expect. I held up a hand. If that's true, then I have one condition. She swallowed. Anything. I leaned in slightly. You and Rachel need to take care of yourselves. No more handouts. No more financial help. You figure it out. Your bills, your problems, your debts. You stand on your own 2 feet. She flinched, just slightly. Leon. I tilted my head. You want me back, right? Not my money. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked away. I sighed, sitting back. Yeah, that's what I thought. Wait, she said quickly, reaching for my hand. Leon, please. It's not that simple. We're struggling. Rachel has Owen to take care of. I pulled my hand back. I've already made sure Owen has everything he needs. But Rachel? She's a grown woman, Mom. And so are you. She looked down at her lap, her fingers twisting together. For the first time in my life, I saw my mother as something other than the struggling single mom who needed my help. I saw her for what she was now, a woman who had chosen comfort over respect. She had chosen to depend on me instead of standing on her own. And she wasn't sure if she could do it alone. That was the problem. They could take care of themselves. They just didn't want to. I exhaled sharply and reached for the car door handle. Wait, she said again, her voice small. Are you really walking away? I looked back at her. Not forever. But for now? Yeah. She opened her mouth like she was going to argue. Then she just nodded. I stepped out of the car and shut the door behind me. She didn't drive away immediately. She just sat there, gripping the wheel, staring ahead. And I walked inside without looking back. I won't lie. The first few weeks after that were weird. Rachel never reached out again. She probably hated me by now, but I didn't care. Mom. She sent a few messages, mostly small updates. I responded, but I kept it short. I wasn't cruel, but I wasn't falling back into old habits either. At first, she tried to guilt trip me again. I had to cancel my gym membership today. Things are tight. I had to pick up extra shifts at work. It's exhausting. Rachel is really struggling, Leon. She doesn't know what to do. I never took the bait. I'd reply with things like, I know it's tough, but I believe in you. Or, you'll figure it out, Mom. Because that was the truth. They would figure it out. Because they had no other choice. And that was the real revenge. It wasn't about cutting them off completely. It wasn't about punishing them. It was about forcing them to face the reality they had ignored for so long. That they were capable of standing on their own, but they had chosen not to. Without me as their safety net, they had to finally step up. And they did. Months passed. I got a new phone, a new number. I didn't block Mom, but I didn't make myself available either. She sent fewer messages. Then even fewer. Until one day, I got a text that actually made me stop and stare at my screen. Mom, I just wanted to say, I understand now. I'm sorry for how I treated you. I hope you're happy. That was it. No request for help. No manipulation. Just an apology. I thought about it for a long time before replying. Me. I am happy, Mom. And I hope you are too. She didn't respond after that. But she didn't have to. Because for the first time, I think she actually meant it. And for the first time, I was finally free.